Okay, we'll be reading chapter 25, 26 from Mark by PC and Kristen Cass. The next day started with what I look back on later as surprising, suspiciously normalcy. Stevie Ray and I ate breakfast, still whispering good gossip about how Eric was trying to figure out how hot Eric was, and was trying to figure out what I'll wear on our date Saturday. We didn't see Aphrodite or the Hag triplets, Warlike, Terrible, and Wasp. Vamp science class was so interesting. We moved from the Amazons to learn about the ancient Greek vampire festival called Cora. Though I stopped thinking about the Dark Daughters rituals planned for that evening. And for a little while I actually quit worrying about what I was going to do about Aphrodite. Drama class was good too. I decided to do one of Kate's Celestia's from The Taming of the Shrew. I loved that play ever since I saw the old movie starring Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Then, as I was leaving class, Nephrite snagged me in the hall and asked how far I read in the upper level book. I had to tell her that I hadn't read much. Tribulation I haven't read yet. And I was totally distracted by her obvious disappointment in me when I hurried into English class. I had just taken my seat between Damien and Stevie Ray when all hell broke loose and everything vaguely resembling anything normal about the day ended. Panthesia Mia was reading You Go and I'll Stay a While, Chapter 4 of A Night to Remember. It was a real good book, and we were all listening as usual, and then that Elliot kid started coughing. Geez, that kid was totally and completely annoying. Somewhere in the middle of the chapter, the obnoxious coughing, I started to smell something. It was rich and sweet, delicious and effortlessly. Automatically, I inhaled deeply, still trying to concentrate on the book. Elliot's coughing got worse, and with the rest of the class, I turned to give him a dirty look. Please, could he not get a cough drop or a drink of water or whatever? Then I saw the blood. Elliot was not in his usual slouch and sleeping position. He was sitting straight up, staring at his hand, which was covered with fresh blood. As I watched him cough again, making a nasty, wet sound that reminded me of the day I'd been marked, only when Elliot coughed, bright scarlet blood spewed from his mouth. What? He gargled. Get Nephrite. His never not the command at the jerk as she jerked open one of her desk drawers, yanked out a neatly folded towel, and quickly moved down the aisle to Elliot. The kid, who was sitting close to the door, took off. In utter silence, we watched Panthesia make it to Elliot just in time for his next bloody cough, which she caught in the towel. He clutched for the towel to his face, hacking and spitting and gagging. When he finally looked up, bloody tears were running down his pale, round face, and blood was pouring from his nose like it was a faucet someone had left on. When he turned his head to look up at Panthesia, I could see that there was red streams coming from his ears too. No, Elliot said with more emotion than I ever heard him. No, I don't want to die. Shh. Panthesia soothing his orange hair back from his sweaty face. Your pain will end soon. But, no, he started to protest in a wimpy voice that sounded more like his own. Then he was interrupted by another round of hacking coughs. He was gagging again, this time puking blood into the already soaked towel. Nephrite entered the room with two tall, powerful-looking vampire men close behind her. They carried a flat stretcher and a blanket. Nephrite was carrying only a vial filled with milky-colored liquid. Not 2 breaths behind them, Dragon Lake Fort burst into the room. That's his mentor, Stevie Ray whispered almost soundlessly. I nodded. Remember when Penthesia had chastised for letting the dragon down. Nephrite handed Dragon the vial she'd been holding. Then she stood behind Elliot. She put her hands on his shoulder. Instantly, his gagging and coughing subsided. "Drink this quickly, Elliot," Dragon told him. When he started to weakly shake his head no, he added gently, "It will make your pain end." Will you stay with me?" Elliot gasped. "Of course," Dragon said. "I won't let you be alone for even a moment." "Will you call my mom?" Elliot whispered. "I will." Elliot closed his eyes for a second, and then, with shaking hands, he took the vial to his lips and drank. Neverite nodded to the two men, and they picked him up and laid him on the stretcher as if he was a rag doll, not a dying kid. With Dragon by his side, they hurried from the room. Now, before Nephite followed, then she turned to face the shocked classroom of 30 reformers. "I could tell you that Elliot will be fine, and then he will recover, but that would be a lie." Her voice was sincere, but filled with command and strength. "The truth is, his body has rejected the change. In minutes he will die the permanent death, and not mature into a vampire. I could tell you not to worry, that it won't happen to you, but this would be a lie too. On average, 1 out of every 10 of you will not make the change. Some feelings die early in their third year, as is Elliot. Some of you will be stronger and last into your sixth former year, and then get sick and die suddenly. I will tell you this, not that you will live in fear. I tell you for 2 reasons. First, I want you to know that as your high priestess, I will not lie to you, but will help Egypt passing into the next world if that time comes. And second, I want you to live as you would be remembered if you would die tomorrow, because you might. Then if you do die, your spirit can rest peacefully knowing that you lay behind a horrible memory. If you do not die, then you will have set the foundation for a long life rich with intelligence." She looked straight into my eyes as she finished saying, "I ask that next blessing comfort you today, and that you remember death is a natural part of life, even a vampire's life. For someday we all must return to the bosom of the goddess." She closed the door behind her with a sound that seemed to echo faintly. Penthesia worked quickly and effectively. Matter of fact, she cleaned up the spatter of blood that stained Elliot's desk. When all evidence of the dying kid was gone, she returned to the front of the class and led us in a moment of silence for Elliot. Then she picked up the book and began reading where she left off. I tried to listen. I tried to block out the vision of Elliot bleeding out through his eyes and ears and nose and mouth. And I also tried not to think about the fact that delicious smell I noticed had been, without a doubt, Elliot's life blood pouring from his dying body. I know things are supposed to go as usual after a feeling dies, but apparently it was unusual for 2 kids to die so close together, and everybody was unnaturally quiet for the rest of the day. Lunch was silent and depressing. And I noticed that most of the food was picked at rather than eaten. The twins didn't even bigger with Damien, which might have been a nice change if I hadn't known the awful reason behind it. When Stevie Ray made some lame excuse to leave lunch early and go back to the room before her 5th hour started, I was more than happy to say I'd go with her. We walked along the sidewalk in the thick dark of another cloudy night. Tonight the gaslights didn't feel cheerful and warm. Instead, they seemed cold and not bright enough. No one liked Ellie, and somehow I think that makes it worse, Stevie Ray said. It was really easier with Elizabeth. At least we could feel honestly sorry she was gone. I know what you mean. I felt upset, but I know I'm really upset that I saw what could happen to us, and I don't want to get it out of my mind. And not upset that the kids did. At least it happens fast, she said softly. Assured, I wonder if it hurts. They give you something, that white stuff Elliot drank. It makes it stop hurting, but at least you be considered conscious into the end. Nephrite always helps with the actual dying. It's scary, isn't it? I said. Yeah. We didn't say anything for a while. Then the moon peered through the clouds, painting the leaves of the tree with an eerie silver watercolor and reminded me suddenly of Aphrodite and her ritual. Any chance Aphrodite would cancel the Samhain ritual tonight? No way. The Dark Daughter's rituals are never cancelled. Well, hell, I said. Then I glanced at Steve Way. He was there with a refrigerator. She gave me a startled look. Elliot? Yeah, it was really gross, and he acted all drugged and weird. He must have been starting to reject the change even then. There was an unfortunate silence, and then I added, I didn't want to say anything to you before, especially after you told me about, well, you know. Are you sure Aphrodite won't cancel tonight? I mean, with what? With Elliot and now Elliot. It won't matter, and the Dark Daughters don't care about the kid they use as a refrigerator. They'll just get someone else. She said, Zoey, I have been thinking, maybe you shouldn't go tonight. I heard what Aphrodite said to you yesterday. She's going to make sure no one accepts you. She'll be really, really mean. I'll be okay, Stevie Ray. No, I have a bad feeling about it. You don't have a plan yet, do you? Well, no. I'm still in the reconsideration stage, I said, trying to line up the conversation. Reconsider later. Today's been too awful. Everyone's upset. I think you should wait. I can't just now not show up after especially what Aphrodite said to me yesterday. She'll think she told me how she can imitated me. Stevie Ray took a deep breath. Well, then I think you should take me with you. I started to shake my head, but she kept, alright, you're a Dark Daughter now. Technically, you can invite people to the ritual, so invite me. I'll go and watch your back. I thought about drinking blood and liking it so much that it was obvious even to warlock and terrible. And I tried, even failed not to think about the scent of blood, Heath and Eric's, and even Elliot's. Stevie Ray would find out someday how blood affected me. But it wouldn't be tonight. Actually, if I could help it, it wouldn't be anytime soon. I didn't want to chance losing her or the twins or Damien. And I was afraid I would. Yes, they knew I was special, and they accepted me because their uniqueness meant high priestess to them, and that was good. My bloodlust was not so good. Would they accept it easily? No way, Stevie Ray. But Zoey, you shouldn't go into the hag pack alone. I won't be alone. Eric will be there. Yeah, but he used to be Aphrodite's boyfriend. Who knows how good he'll be at standing up to her if she gets real hateful with you. Honestly, I can stand up for myself. I know, but she broke off and gave me a funny look. Z, are you vibrating, huh? Am I what? And then I heard it too and started laughing. It's my cell phone. I stuck it in my purse after it charged up last night. I put it out of my purse, glancing at the time on the doll face. It's past midnight. Who the heck? Flipping the phone open, I was shocked to see that I had 15 text messages and 5 missed calls. Jeez, someone's been calling and calling, and I didn't even notice. I checked the text messages first and felt my stomach start to clench as I read them. Zoe, call me. I still love you. Zoe, call me, please. Got to see you. You and me. Will you call? I want to talk to you. Zoe, call me back. I didn't exactly need to read any more of them. They were all basically the same. Oh, crap. They're all from Heath. Your ex? I sighed. Yeah, what does that mean? Apparently me. Reluctantly, I keyed in the code to access my voice messages, and Heath's cute, dopey voice shocked me with how loud and imitated he sounded. Zoe, call me. Like, I know it's late, but wait. It's not too late to you, but it's late to me. But that's okay, 'cause I don't care. I just want you to call me. Okay, so bye. Call me. I groaned and deleted. The next one sounded even more manic. Zoe, okay, you need to call me, really, and don't be mad. Hey, I don't even like Kayla. She's lame. I still love you, Zoe, and only you, so call me. I don't care. I'll just wake up. Man, oh man, Stevie Ray said easily, hold here and gosh, that boy's upset. No wonder you dumped him. Yeah, I mumbled, quickly deleting the second. The third was much like the first two, only more desperate. I turned the volume down and tapped my foot rapidly while I went through all 5 messages, not listening except when I could delete and move on to the next one. I gotta go see Nephrite, I said, more to myself to Stevie Ray. How come? You need to block him from calling or something? No. Yeah, something like that. I just need to talk to her about, well, what I should do. I avoided Stevie Ray's curious grace. I mean, he's already showed up here once. I don't want him to come back again and cause any trouble. Oh yeah, that's true. It'll be bad if he ran into Eric. It'll be awful. Okay, I better hurry and try to catch Nephrite before 5th hour. I'll see you after school. I didn't wait for Stevie Ray's goodbye, but took off in the direction of Nephrite's room. Could this day get any worse? Elliot dies, and I'm attracted to his blood. And I have to go to the Samhain ritual tonight with a bunch of kids who hate me and want to make sure I know it. And I probably imprinted my ex almost boyfriend. Yeah, today really, really sucked. Chapter 26. Skylar's hissing and growling hadn't caught my attention. I would never seen Aphrodite slumped in a little clove down the hall from Nephrite's room. What is it, Skylar? I had my hand out, genuinely remember what Nephrite said about her cat being a known biter. I was always sincerely glad that Nala wasn't tagging along after me as usual. Skylar would probably eat my poor cat for lunch. Kitty, kitty. The big orange Tom cat gave me a considering look, probably considering whether or not to bite the crap out of my hand. Then he made his decision, unpuffed himself, and trotted over to me. He rubbed himself against my legs. And then he gave the all-clothed once more good hiss before he took off, disappearing down the hall in the direction of the Nephrite's room. What the hell was his problem? I looked hastily into the alcove, wondering what would make a mean cat like Skylar puff and hiss. I felt a jolt of shock. She was sitting right on the floor, hard to see in the shadow under the ledge that held a pretty statue of Nyx. Her head was tilted back, and her eyes were rolled so that their whites were showing. She scared the total crap out of me. I froze and expected any second to see blood pouring down her face. Then she moaned and muttered something I couldn't understand while her eyeballs shifted around behind her closed lids, so as though she was watching a scene. I realized what must be happening. Aphrodite was having a vision. She probably felt it coming on and hid in the alcove so no one would find her, and she could keep her info about the death and destruction she could prevent to her hateful self had. While I was done letting her get away with that crap, I bent down and grabbed her under my arms, pulling her to her feet. Let me tell you, she's a lot heavier than she looks. Come on, I groaned, half carrying her while she was lurched blinding forward with me. Let's take a little trip down the hall and see what kind of tragedy you want to keep quiet. Thankfully, Nefertiti's room wasn't far away. We struggled in and Nefer jumped up from behind her chair and rushed to her. Zoey, Aphrodite, what? But as soon as she got a good look at Aphrodite, her alarm changed to calm understanding. Help me bring her over here to my chair. She'll be more comfortable there. We led Aphrodite to Nephrite's big leather chair and let her sink into it. Then Nephrite crouched beside her and took her hand. Aphrodite, with the goddess voice, I beseech you to tell your priestess what is it you see. Nephrite's voice was soft but compelling, and I could feel the power in her command. Aphrodite's eyelids instantly began to flicker, and she drew a deep, gasping breath, and then they opened. Her eyes looked huge and glossy. So much blood. There's so much blood coming out of his body. Who, Aphrodite? Center yourself and focus and clear the vision, Nephrite commanded. Nephrite drew another grasping breath. They're dead. No, that can't be right. Not right. No, not natural. I don't understand. I don't. She blinked her eyes again and her gaze seemed to clear. She looked around the room like she didn't recognize anything. Her eyes touched me. You, she said faintly. Yeah, I said, thinking that I was sure did know that she was trying to hide her vision. But all I said, I found you in the hall, and Neverite raised her hand and stopped me. No, she's not finished. She shouldn't be coming to so soon. The vision is still too abstract. Neverite told me quickly and then lowered her voice again and assumed the compelling commanding tone. Aphrodite, go back. See what it is you were meant to witness and what you were meant to change. Ha! Got you now. I couldn't help being a little smug. After all, she tried to snatch my eyes out yesterday. That did. Getting more and more difficult to understand. Everett muttered something that sounded like tunnels. They kill someone there. I can't. She was faint, frantic, and I almost felt sorry for her. Clearly, whatever she was seeing was freaking her out. Then her searching eyes found Aphrodite, and recognition flashed through them, and I started to relax. She was coming around, and this whole weirdness would be cleared up. And just as I thought that, Nephrite's eyes, which seemed to be locked on Nephrite's, widened unbelievable. A look of pure terror blanked her face, and she screamed. Nephrite clamped her hands on Aphrodite's trembling shoulders. Awaken! She spared hardly glanced over her shoulder at me to say, Go now, Zoey. Her vision is confused. Elliot's death has upset her. I need her to be certain she's herself once more. I don't need to be told twice. Heat's obsession forgotten. I got the hell out of there and headed to Spanish class. I couldn't concentrate on school. I kept replaying the scene with Nephrite and Aphrodite over and over in my head. She'd be obviously been having a vision about people dying, but from Nephrite's reaction, it hadn't been like a normal vision, if there were such a thing. Stevie Ray said that Aphrodite's visions were so clear that she could direct people to the right airport, and even the Pacific plane she'd been seen crashing. Yet today, all of a sudden, nothing was clear. Well, nothing but seeing me and saying weird stuff, and then her screaming her brains out at Nephrite. It so didn't make sense. I was always looking forward to seeing how she acted tonight, almost. I put away Persephone's curry brush and picked up Nala, who'd been perched on top of the horse's feeder, watching and making her weird meow oof owls at me, and started slowly back to the dorm. This time Nephrite didn't hassle me, but when I rounded the corner by the old Stevie, Damien and the twins were huddled together, doing a lot of talking. They suddenly shut up when I came into view. They all looked guilty at me. It was pretty easy to guess who they'd been talking about. What? I said, we were just waiting for you. Stevie Ray said her usual pertness was missing. What's wrong with you, I asked. She's worried about you, Shanae said. Well, worried about you, Ernie said. What's going on with your ex, Damien said. Asked. He's bugging, that's all. If he didn't bug, he wouldn't be my ex. I tried to speak nonchalantly without looking at any of the four of them in the eye too long. I've never been a particular good liar. We think I should go with you tonight, Stevie Ray said. Actually, we think we should go with you tonight, Damien corrected. I frowned at them. No possible way. I want all four of them. Watch me drink whatever kid's blood they managed to mix into the wine tonight. No, Zoey. It's been a really bad day. Everyone's stressed. Plus, Aphrodite is out to get you. It makes sense that we shouldn't stick together tonight. Damien said logically. Yeah, it was logic that they didn't know the whole story. I didn't want them to know the whole story. Yet, the truth was I cared too much about them. They made me feel accepted and safe. They made me feel like I fit in here. I couldn't risk losing that right now. Not when all of this was still so new and so scary. So I did what I had learned to do too well at home and was scared and upset and didn't know what else to do. I got pissed and defensive. You guys said that I have powers that will someday make me your high priestess. They all nodded eagerly and smiled at me, which squeezed my heart. I gritted my teeth and made my voice real cold. Then you need to listen to me when I say no. I don't want you there tonight. This is something I have to deal with alone, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Then I stomped away from him. Naturally, within half an hour, I was sorry. I've been so awful. I paced back and forth under the big oak that somehow became my sanctuary, annoying Nala and wishing that Stevie Ray would show up so I could apologize. My friends didn't know why I didn't want them there. They were just looking out for me. Maybe they would understand about the blood thing. Eric seemed to understand. Okay, sure, he was a fifth former, but still. We were all supposed to go through it. We were all supposed to start craving blood or we died. I brightened a little and scratched and all said, when the alternative is death, drinking blood doesn't seem so bad, right? She purred, so I took that as a yes. I checked the time on my watch. Crap. I had to go back to the dorm, change my clothes, and meet up the Dark Daughters. Listlessly, I started to following the wall back. It was a cloudy night, but I didn't mind the darkness. Actually, I was starting to like the night. I should. It was going to be my element for a very long time if I lived as though she could read my morbid thoughts. Nala meowed grumpily at me as she toddled along. Yeah, I know, I shouldn't be so negative. I'll work on that after Nala's low growl surprised me. She stopped. Her back was arched and her hair was standing on end, making her look like a fat little puffball. But her shut eyes were no joke, and neither was the furious hiss that snaked from her mouth. Nala, what a terrible chill figured its way down my spine. Even before I turned to look in the direction my cat was staring. Later, I couldn't figure it out why I didn't scream. I remembered my mouth open so I could gulp air, but I absolutely silent. It seemed like I'd gone numb, but that was impossible. If I'd been numb, there's no way I could have been so perfectly terrified. Elliot was standing not 10 feet from me in the darkness that shadowed the space next to the wall. He must have been heading in the same direction Nala and I were walking. Then he heard Nala and half turned back towards us. She hissed again at him, and with a frantic, quick movement, he rolled himself fully to fully face us. I swear I couldn't breathe. He was a ghost. He had to be, but he looked so solid, so real. If I hadn't watched his body reject the change, I would have thought he was just looking especially pale and weird. He was abnormally white, but there were more wrong about him than that. His eyes had changed. They reflected what little light there was, and they glowed a terrible rust red like dried blood, exactly as the ghost of Elizabeth's eyes had glowed. There was something else different about him, too. His body looked strange, thinner. How was that possible? The smell came to me then, old and dry and out of place, like a closet that hadn't been opened in years or a creepy basement. It was the same smell I noticed just before I seen Elizabeth. Nala growled, and Elliot dropped into an odd half-crouch and hissed back at her. Then he bared his teeth, and I could see that he had fangs. He took a step towards Nala as if he was going to attack her. I didn't think I was. I just reacted. Leave her alone and get the hell out of here. It amazed me that I sounded like I wasn't doing anything more exciting than yelling at a bad dog, because I was definitely scared and totally shitless. His head swirled in my direction, and the glow of his eyes touched me for the first time. Wrong. Then, tension voice inside me that had became familiar was screaming, "This is an abomination. You." His voice was horrible. It was raspy and guttured, as if something had damaged his throat. "I will have you." And he began to come towards me. Raw fear engulfed me like a bitter wind. Nala's battle yaw rented the night as she hurled herself at Elliot's ghost. In complete shock, I watched, expecting the cat to go through the spinning and clawing through empty air. Instead, she landed on his thigh, claws extended, scratching and howling like an animal 3 times her size. He screamed, grabbed her by the scruff of her neck, and threw her away from him. Then, with impulse, speed, and strength, he literally leaped into the top of the wall and disappeared into the night that surrounded the school. I was shaken that I so hard I stumbled. Nala, I sobbed. Where are you, little girl? Puffed and growling, she paddled over to me, but her slitted eyes were still focused on the wall. I crouched beside her and with shaking hands, checked to make sure she fell all into one piece. She fell unbroken. I scooped her up again and jogged away from the wall. It's okay. We're okay. He's gone. What a brave girl you were. I kept talking to her. She perched halfway over my shoulder so that she could see behind us, and she continued to grow. When I got to the first guest light, not far from the record, I stopped and shifted Nala's position so I could look more closely to see that she was really okay. What I found made my stomach clench so hard that I was going to throw up. On her paws was blood, only it wasn't Nala's, and it didn't smell delicious like other blood had smelled. Instead, it carried the scent of musty dryness and old basement. I forced myself not to react as I wiped the paws on her paws on the one of grass. Then I picked her up again and hurried down the sidewalk that led to the dorm. Nala never stopped looking behind us and growling. Stevie Ray, the twins, and Damien were all conspiring descended from the dorm. They weren't watching TV. They weren't in the computer room or the library. They weren't in the kitchen either. I climbed quickly up the stairs, hoping desperately that at least Stevie Ray would be in our room. No such luck. I sat on my bed, petting the still distraught Nala. Should I try to find my friends, or should I stay here? Stevie Ray would actually come back to our dorm. I looked at her engraving Elvis clock. I had about 10 minutes to get changed and had hit into the rec hall. But how could I go to the ritual after what I just saw what had just happened? A ghost tried to attack me. No, that wasn't right. How could ghosts bleed? But had it been blood, it didn't smell like blood. I had no idea what was going on. I should go directly to Nephra and tell her what happened. I should get up right now and take myself and my freaked out cat to Nephra and tell her about Elizabeth last night and now Elliot tonight. I should know. This time it wasn't a scream within me, it was the strength of certainty. I could not tell Nephra, at least not at the moment. I have to go to the ritual, I said aloud, the words that were echoing through my mind. I have to be at this ritual. As I pulled on the black dress and searched around the closet for my ballet shoes, I felt myself becoming very calm. Things here didn't play by the same rules as they did in my old world, in my old life, and it was time I accepted that and started getting used to it. I had an affinity for the five elements, which meant that I had been gifted with an incredible powers by an ancient goddess. As Grandma reminded me, with great power comes great responsibility. Maybe I was being allowed to see things like ghosts that didn't act or look or smell like ghosts should for a reason. I didn't know that meant yet. Actually, I didn't know much besides the two thoughts that were clearest in my mind. I couldn't tell enough right, and I had to go to the ritual. Hurrying to the rec call, I tried to at least think positive. Maybe Aphrodite will not show up tonight, or maybe there had or be there but forget to harass me. I turned as my luck would have it, neither was the case. We will start on chapter 27 tomorrow.